how can I feel okay about myself, even though I made this mistake, or even though I didn't meet this expectation? It really is realistic for everyone to get to a point where they can close that door of their past. And so that it frees you up to be able to just focus on really being still and present, and then future purpose and fulfillment, and being intentional about making a difference.
I love that imagery. Once you close that door, God gives you the key to be able to reopen that whenever you want.
When I don't meet an expectation, I feel like I blew it or I made a mistake. How can I feel okay about myself? It is okay if I care about it and I want to do better, because shame leads to isolation. Genuinely feeling like it's okay leads to freedom and self-improvement.
Acting on emotions as guides to truth. Stillness. Surrendering to what is. Seeking. Using my gifts with purpose. Light. This is the emotional blueprint.
You've been going through this journey that I see for people, because I've been a therapist for a little while. We're never done learning, but it's like I can tell when somebody gets done with the hard stuff. And we were talking last time how like you're pretty much there or almost there. And like, yeah, I just wanted to ask you about the experience with your dad having Alzheimer's. That was super sad for you. That was taking up a lot of weight for you. And you didn't realize it until we were talking last time. And catch us up on just like what's shifted for you, and like,
dude,
we got to know.
It's been good. It's been a really cool 2 weeks since we last like sat down and talked about it. And I feel like a lot has happened in 2 weeks. I went to Thanksgiving and like, and it was, I had like little moments with everybody that really helped me feel different, see things different. I had a really cool experience. My little sister while we were driving up, and then when we got there, I mean, the thing with my dad was that I prayed before I went and just wanted some type of understanding into it of what I should be feeling, and addressing my fear. My bigger fear was like, is there going to be time for anything? Is there going to be like, can we have enough to hold on to before he's, too far gone or something like that? And I just had all these different questions related to that fear of what's going to happen. And I got like a pretty strong feeling of calmness just came over me.
So if I'm hearing you right, it's like you were coming from a place of sadness, and you were trying to find this hope or peace about the relationship with your dad that we talked about last time. If
I remember correctly, the question that I asked was along the fear that I had of like, the fear is that there's not enough time. And the question was, will there be enough that I can do with the limited time that there is? I know there's not a lot of time. And it was just calm.
So you felt this calmness.
Really calm, really confident, honestly. It was like this spirit of, don't worry about any of that. Just go and have fun and see your dad and see how you feel. And that's the kind of, I just had this like anticipation, drove there, got there, had a really great conversation. Like first day that I got there with my mom and my dad in the kitchen, and we just talked about all the stuff we've struggled with as a family and all the things that them and our relationship and how we've struggled. And it was really emotional. And my dad almost like apologized for the way that things turned out. And instead of apologizing, he just had a realization, was like, wow, some of the choices that we made weren't the best for you guys. And we are really sorry for that. He got teary-eyed about the outcome. He's like, I'm really sorry. I do feel like bad, but look at who you are. I'm not sorry for that. And he was like, that's cool, really emotional about that. And I just gave him a big hug. And then the whole time that we were there,
he was proud of you.
Yeah.
He's proud of you.
Both my parents let me know how they feel about me.
Which is a little surprising that they're proud of you. I'm just kidding.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, really?
I'm like, dude, really?
No, but I'll take it.
Of course they are. You're an unbelievable human.
Well, they let me know that they loved me and that they're proud of me, and that felt, I wasn't looking for that, but that always feels good to hear. And I just felt like I was on some like spiritual, emotional high of just feeling overwhelming love for like everyone in my family. I was just going around like trying to play with everybody and mess with people and like tell jokes and just hang out with my dad, he doesn't take his medication very often. And the result, apparent from what I understood, is that now it's too late anymore. There's no reversing anything. And even taking the medication isn't even going to slow it down very much, the doctors say. It really is like, just enjoy your time. And that's what I did. And we played board games, and my dad kind of like follows me around, he was like following me around, and I loved it. I was like, come with me. You can be my buddy. Like, if you don't know where you're going, or you don't know where mom is or whatever in the house, like, come sit with me, come hang out with me. And it was just really cool. I feel like me and my dad have a really special connection.
So I've got a couple questions for you.
Mm-hmm.
The first maybe is more of an observation. Isn't it interesting that, you're talking about how like I wasn't needing their approval, but when it happened, it just felt good. Why does this happen? That when we feel truly secure and like whole, that's when it seems like what we've always needed in our past starts to happen.
Yes.
It's almost like this train is taken off. And if you want to be a part of it, you can, but like I'm going somewhere. Like, I'm already there, and I'm on this cool path. I don't know what it is, but people just can like sense that. There's like this deeper sensing of like, does this person need me anymore emotionally? And if they don't, then I feel more comfortable giving to them.
Maybe that's why
it's just
happened.
Interesting. I just wanted to get, this might not be all of it, but the one thing you needed from your dad that you never really got was like approval.
Yeah.
And then now that you don't need it, there it is.
Exactly. It's so interesting you say that, because I don't know, like yesterday I had a conversation with Ashlyn about like the Eastern culture, the Buddhist way of no expectation, of not wanting for anything, not desiring, and then when you don't, it comes to you.
That was one of my favorite Buddhist truths.
That you can't have expectations. You just do what you're doing, and then things will come to you. It's so much easier to be grateful that way too.
How do you think that principle applies in dating? This Buddhist teaching of like, as soon as you stop needing a woman as a guy, as soon as you stop needing a woman to be happy, or as a girl, as soon as you stop needing a man to be happy, that's when you find this awesome, that's when this awesome, healthy person finds you.
Yeah. It's the push-pull. I don't know why that's so attractive. Like for me, I'm thinking through the lens of like a man looking for a girl, right?
Yeah.
And in my head, they want someone who is already going somewhere. They want someone who is stable. They want someone who is secure, so that they can bring their problems and they won't get overwhelmed with that person's problems, and it won't blanket over the things that they need. I don't know. I think there's like some aspect of like
security,
strength and like strength that, and that's got to be attractive, right?
Well, in the studies they've done on like what are the most important things that like women look for in a guy, number one is not physical attraction. Like for most guys, it's like that's one of the first things that's like important to them. But it's like security and personality, and like all the things that really matter.
Yeah, exactly.
Are like at the top. And then lower for most women is, physical attraction, although they still care about it. It's just lower on the list. But it's interesting because women seem to have this sixth sense on like, does this guy need me to be happy? Does he need me for support? If it's a need, women are like, they pick up on that so fast.
Yeah.
I've seen that with so many of my like male clients. Like, I don't get it. Like, why can I not like get any like second or third dates? And it's like, I don't know, man. but I'll just share this with you. It's something spiritual. It must be of that people can just pick up on this. It reminds me of my dad. I love my dad. He's such an awesome guy. But as soon as I stopped not needing his approval, dude, he was like a doting, almost too much sometimes. I'm like, Dad, like, cool, thanks. Like, thanks, Dad. Like, that's really nice of you. But it's just fascinating. So in dating as a man, it's like, this isn't the answer that most men want to hear. What is perhaps the best thing that you could do to find a really secure and awesome woman? You need to do the emotional work, let go of what you need to, basically healing from your codependency.
Mm-hmm.
And the interesting thing is it can't be masked. You could get really shredded at the gym. You could be making $1 million a year, whatever. You could say all the right things, but you can't counterfeit.
They'll see right through that.
100%.
Yeah.
I just love that Buddhist teaching.
It's universal, like dating or relationships with family members or relationships with anybody. It's like, if they know that you're like super needy, it's going to be some sort of like all right, I got to keep you at a distance.
Well, it reminds me of our conversation we had a while ago, I think, of like the difference between like attachment and connection. So like attachment is an unconscious, like, I need this person to be balanced or happy. But connection is, I just want this person. I want to connect with them. I want to give to them. It's selfless. I feel like I have a lot to give, and I just want to give that to someone else. So like going back to this dating scenario is like, how do you know if you're ready to be in a relationship? I think one of the best ways to know is if you can be honest with yourself about this question. Do I want to be in a relationship genuinely because I just want to give to someone else? Or do I want to be in a relationship because I want them to give to me? And if you're honest and the answer is like, well, I just want them to do this for me or make this easier for me, then you still have an attachment. There's an unhealthy codependency there to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
That's worth taking a look at.
Yeah.
Before you get serious. And if you're already in a relationship, you can still work on it. That was maybe kind of a tangent, but any other thoughts, man, on that?
I see how that works in my own relationship. I'm just thinking in my own relationship, like, okay, like maybe that is something worth taking a look at. Because I've had a lot of conversations with Ashton about that. Just trying to find the balance there between both of us and talking through that like when you're taking care of the things you need to do and you're emotionally healthy, the other person notices and it causes changes in how things go. They recognize, and it's like, it was kind of like this moment where she was like, well, you're going somewhere and what do? I don't
want to be left behind.
Exactly. And I was like, I don't want you to either. Do you want to come with?
Hop on.
And it was like, okay. And that's how it's like so cool that it's just like that. That's what makes them want to do that, is when they see that in the other person and they're like, oh shoot, they switch it, you know?
What's cool about what you're saying, man, is it reminds me of like the deepest form of love. In Greek, so in English, we only have one word for love, but in Greek and Italian and many other languages, they have so many different words for love. And in Greek, the deepest form of love they call agape. And what I love about this deep form of love, basically, it's a sacrificial love. Mm-hmm. In other words, I'm sacrificing for the other person, and they are sacrificing for me, in a joint effort to help each other become a better person. So there's no deeper love than genuinely wanting to help someone become better. That is this supportive love of nature and like actual nature. This is the love of God. It's all geared towards, I just want to support. What's cool about the earth is I'm supporting Ernest walking on the ground and Corey walking on the ground, and I don't need any recognition. I don't need to be noticed. I don't need like, hey, like, you're going to say thanks for me supporting you and you not falling to the cracks of the earth and melting in the deep lava center, whatever.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it's just, I just think I take that for granted.
Mm-hmm.
It's a selfless love. We have to feel that first from God or nature to allow us to give that to people. So,
well, I think that's what's happening for me.
for sure, that's what's happening for you. So, I want to go back to your story and ask you one other question.
Sure.
This one is actually a question, not an observation. So, we were talking last time about how there, like, this hole of sadness that was there, this weight or this hole we were talking about last time, and how you need to fill that with hope. So, what you did is you took some time and you asked the question in prayer. For you, is prayer. For some people, it might be in nature or other avenues. But you asked it in prayer, and you basically asked, what was the question you asked again?
If there's not a lot of time left, will there be enough? Can I get enough done, or can there be enough time for us to make something still?
Perfect. And then what happened for you afterwards is you felt just some calmness.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't anything crazy powerful. It was a subtle feeling of calmness. A lot of people, I believe, have similar experiences as you, but that's not enough for them to feel okay or better about the situation. My question is how was this subtle feeling of calmness that was on a scale of 1 to 10, maybe it's like a 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How was this enough for you to be able to feel totally okay about the situation with your losing your dad?
I trust God a lot. And I wanted to act on the feelings that I got so I could confirm them in a different way to myself. So that's how it worked for me. That's how I usually go about it, is who am I to know more than you? I trust that. I will try and continue to trust that. And I'm going to go and do something to feel that more.
I'm going to honor the experience. I think this is part of what you mean, and tell me if it's not, but this recognition that these positive emotions, like feeling calmness or peace or just feeling good, that these, even if they're subtle, they mean business. They mean something.
Mm-hmm.
We cannot manufacture these positive feelings on our own. Okay, so what is the value of positive emotions? Well, when they arrive on the scene, especially when we're seeking, even if it's subtle, when they arrive on the scene, it means it is written. The Middle Eastern word for that is like maktub. It is written. It actually means that things are going to be okay.
That's a good point. I guess the second thing wasn't really to prove that was right, like prove that calmness was right, but it was like
to trust it,
trust that, and go into that next thing that you're going to do with them with that trust. And that's why I had that overwhelming love,
like joy,
crazy amount. Like I literally texted my sister after and was like, I don't know what happened. It was the same. We watched the same movies. We did the same board games as last year, but I felt it this time. I felt the love for everybody.
Because you were not needing or desiring something from them.
I didn't expect anything this time.
Putting this all together, it's really powerful, because if you didn't become as aware as you were last time that you needed hope, and if you didn't find that or seek that before you went to your parents, unconsciously what happens for us is we start to seek that hope from your dad in this case, or from other people. And other people can't give us a deep hope.
Mm-mm. And they might even disappoint you or something.
They can be an avenue for it, perhaps. Like someone can say something and we can feel that peace from what they're saying. And then we can, I don't want to discount that because that's very real. But on a base level, people cannot give us hope. And so we end up very disappointed.
Yeah.
And we're making it about what we need and not about being able to give. Pretty cool.
I'm just grateful that it happened, that I got to be able to see the process for what it was and feel something about it. It really meant like a lot to me, just to
Mhm.
feel that love for them. I've been really trying. And that was the key, is just let go of that other stuff and just
Fill in the hole.
fill that with what you can give. Changed everything. And it's starting to ripple out into every other part of my life. And I'm seeing that more and more. Yeah, it's been really a great couple of weeks of realization for me.
And do you know what I know for you is I know that that was like your last hole.
Feels a lot different right now.
I believe that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's going to be other things that happen in all of our lives that are sad or hurtful, and that creates a little hole. But you now have everything you need to know exactly what to do with that.
There's still the interesting thing is like there's this maybe even more challenges than there were before. I don't even know. Like there's not like challenges of like emotions or my relationships in the past or my trauma or anything like that. It's like stressful day-to-day things have popped up more and more, and I'm not any different. Usually when those things stack up, it really challenges you. Not saying that I'm having a hard time, not having a hard time, but I'm stable. I am steady. I wake up. I know what I'm going to do. I know what the stresses are going to be. I know how to attack them, and I do something for it. Like I do something to affect that, and I can feel a difference. Like I don't know how to explain that. I just have more power in what I'm doing.
There's this awesome African proverb, and it says, when there is no enemy within, the enemy outside of us can do us no harm. When there is no enemy within, the enemy outside of us can do us no harm. What does that mean? It means what you're saying.
Yeah.
It means that the enemy within is two things. It's unresolved pain, and then it's thoughts or beliefs that we might be holding on to.
Mm-hmm.
So for you, you have kind of completed. I'm going to give you a little trophy I have. a little I should actually get you one.
It's okay. I'll take it, but
no, but I honestly am so proud of you, man.
Thank you.
It's so cool because what was I saying? Oh, you honestly have completed this journey that most people some people don't ever get to their whole life, of you fully letting go of all the major bruises or rocks in your back. Like those are all out. And so there's no enemy within as far as the unresolved pain for you at this point anymore.
Yeah.
Now it's just now it's just thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
So managing our thoughts and
organizing,
making sure we're,
everything,
putting those where they need to go. And
mm-hmm.
So I couldn't be happier for you, man. We'll celebrate after this.
We will. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm really happy how it's affected my life personally. And I'm really, really grateful how it's affected the lives of the people around me, my girlfriend and her family. I play a small part in the things that are happening in that house, but it's amazing to see the changes that are going on there in each individual in that home. And I know that it's a ripple effect of things that Ashlyn is seeing from me and doing for herself, and then sharing with others and seeing how the ripple effect of your decisions to heal go beyond yourself. And the more you work on that, the clearer that becomes of how many people are affected by you.
So it's so cool you saying that, because you're talking about the natural next phase. We talked about this journey,
mm-hmm.
which is the whole purpose of this podcast. This, we could call it the healing journey or whatever you want to call it. But the journey is phase 1. I got to find emotional balance in my life. Phase 2, I have to heal and let go of the deeper stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And this hole that was there with your dad, that was, from what we know, that was like the last thing. But now what's cool, you really get it. What's the natural phase is like the last phase of our life, hopefully for the rest of our life, is purpose and fulfillment. You're talking about this natural, what happens naturally for us as human beings is when I am able to get out of the hole and be on level ground. The sun's out. I naturally am going to want to, I naturally just want to go explore and like find people and like tell them. And I run around and I see people in their hole and I want to share with them how I got out of mine.
Yeah. You want to shout down in there and say, what's
This
up?
is how you do it.
Yeah.
And this is the emotional blueprint. Generally speaking, the same thing that works for you and your story, it works for everybody. We don't want to be naive and think that our story is the same as everybody. It's not. But the general truths of how you were able to heal and let go, it works if you're Black or you're white or you're Asian or whatever. It works for every.
It's universal.
And that's our message. That's what we're talking about on this podcast. So now all you have to do is just fulfill your purpose.
Yep. I got to just simple.
That's it.
Just live the rest of my life as a, monk or something and just fulfill I honestly, that's the next, I feel like that's exactly what my next thing is get my house in order in my life, my logistical, financial house in order, and then keep figuring that out. What does it go towards? Who is it for? Why?
And our paths, man, me and you, they line up. So I can't wait to talk to you more about that. You're a walking example of what anyone can expect to feel. This deep compassion, this love for other people, this gratitude. This is naturally what happens when we let go. And I like the visual of this. The beautiful visual of this for me is you've got your past door that is open. You've got your present door that is open and you got your future door. It really is realistic for everyone to get to a point where they can close that door of their past. And so that it frees you up to be able to just focus on the present moment, really being still and present, and then future purpose and fulfillment and being intentional about making a difference.
I love that imagery. I got like a picture of a janitor. Like once you close that door, God gives you the key to be able to reopen that whenever you want. And then you can go and do whatever you need to.
Yeah.
Yeah. You get to choose when it comes open now. You get to choose to keep it closed if you want to. There's a lot of power in that image.
I want to share a story with you. And then I want to talk about purpose and fulfillment as we go forward. So this is a sacred story for me. I've been feeling this nudge over the last few months that in order for me to fulfill my purpose, I need to remember the stories that I've heard from being a therapist for the last 10 years. And I need to remember my own story. And I need to remember my beautiful friends like you and what you guys are going through and learning from you. It's just remembering. And basically, as I was like doing my spiritual practice of like prayer and meditation, this like strong feeling came up of like this strong voice almost came and said, these stories aren't just for you. And it like was like a slap in the face to some degree. And so every night, I'm still working on being more consistent with this, but every night I take 15 minutes and I reflect on the story that I need to remember. And I write down, just remembering
just like whatever
all
comes
this
up.
stuff, man. I've just been a witness of so much pain, been a witness of so much healing, and I've been a witness for so much growth in people. And it's just couldn't be more grateful. It's literally changed my life in the last 10 years. And this is one of those stories. And I'm going to read a little bit of it so I do it justice. But there's just some people as a therapist that come in that you just click more with, that I just like, a part of me is in them. Like I see myself in them and my story in them. And I just feel like this compassion, I think, and this connection. And this was one of these people, and we'll just call his name John. So he had a huge heart. And he shared like this super close bond with his father. Mm-hmm. They were more than family. They were friends. And one day John's world shattered with a phone call. His father had taken his own life. Barely coping, John received another devastating call weeks later that his sister had also died by suicide. And so struggling with these losses, John sought comfort in his mother. Remember him telling me he would go over there just like deep down, like broken up and just like devastated. And his mom would be belligerently drunk. And he was like, where the heck do I turn to? And when he was alone and grieving, he came into therapy. And he told me that he was, since that moment of seeing his mom and just realizing that nobody was there for him, like he got addicted to heroin to find relief. And I'll just read the rest of this. He believed quitting would bring him happiness. And despite the odds, he succeeded. Months later, John faced the stark reality of his life. A bleak apartment, an unfulfilling job, and no meaningful relationships. The emptiness remained, and using drugs seemed to offer the only relief. So I helped him go through this process of like overcoming the addiction to heroin. And then it's Friday night and he goes into his apartment and it's trashed. And he realizes that he like hates his job and he has no relationships because he's been using for the last year. I can't remember how long, to be honest. And the saddest part for me is I'm like, dude, we're going to be able to figure this out. He's like, yeah. And then I never saw him again. And it like, I think about him often and just hope that he's okay, you know. But to honor him and his story, it just is such a powerful reminder that healing, like we've been talking about, healing doesn't just require us to dig the hole out and to clean it out. We have to fill it. And he successfully cleaned that hole out. He quit using drugs, but he didn't fill it with anything. There's nothing that he could fill it with. And the process of doing that was going to take a lot of time and a lot of hard work. And I think he probably felt hopeless. Like, I don't think I'm ever going to be able to.
Defeated, maybe.
I don't think I'm ever going to be able to get over this. And so the answer was, I have to go back to use. We're talking about sadness and hope a lot on purpose. It's because every single day when I go into work, it comes up every single day, multiple times. My wife's like, hey, how's work? Like, any cool topics? I'm like, sadness and hopelessness again. Like, it's just like, so it's like, where can people go to find hope? I do want you to answer that. Just one more. I want to share one other thing, and I want to answer it too.
Yeah.
Let's answer it together. So I just had a baby 2 weeks ago, a little boy. And it was a special experience. It was a special experience for a way that I just did not expect. And people are going to be like, what? This is kind of weird. But the baby is coming out. It's always stressful, at least for me as a bystander, seeing that happen, because it's like there's so many things that could go wrong. Like, I've seen it with our second. There's a lot of things that started to go wrong, and it was like it got scary for a little bit.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the baby comes out, and it's all good. Everyone's good, and then my wife is pushing the placenta out, and the nurse put the placenta on like this platter, this like
tray.
Yeah, the nurse tray.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, this might sound kind of weird, but can you flip the placenta inside out? And they're like, of course. as if they get this request like all the time.
No way. No
That's how
thought.
they respond. Like, oh, no,
Yeah.
they were just cool about it. And I don't know why I asked that. I saw a little bit of the inside of it, and I'm like, hey, can you flip that inside out? And now I know why I asked that. They flip it inside out, and it literally is a tree. It's a tree. And I've been on this whole nature kick this like last year, especially with my affinity for trees. And I had this like spiritual impression in this moment. Growing up Christian, it's very focused on like God, and like God is a male, you know, in Christian teachings, and like he's our father. But I've always known that we have like parents, like spiritual parents. So what about mom? Like she's never talked about. And there's no information scripturally about her at all. There's nothing. So it hit me in that moment. It was like, oh my gosh, there's been my newborn son is also a tree, or is being fed by a tree or whatever. And it hit me. The spiritual moment I had was that the spirit of the mother of all things, her spirit is the soul of the earth, and her offspring are the trees. We have a physical symbol of that in the earth and obviously the trees. But as a human, the spiritual symbol of that is the spirit now that is in my newborn son, and a mother that was monitoring that and a close part of that whole experience. Just a beautiful moment for me. And it was cool. My purpose in sharing that when it comes to the whole hope thing is, where do I go to find hope? Just be willing to start asking questions that, if you get answers to, are really going to help you to feel better, to something greater than yourself. Mountains are greater than you. Ocean waves are greater than you. Trees are greater than you. God is greater than you. Whatever you feel comfortable with. I believe that we have these spiritual parents, God and mom, who Mother Earth and God, Father Sky, whatever. It doesn't matter where we direct it. Whatever feels like is right for you and authentic to you and where you're at.
They can speak through all of their own channels, right?
Yep.
You just have to be listening.
100%.
I love that idea that it doesn't matter. I think that just to add to that, I think that a component is your goal should be the truth.
Yes.
In whatever you are seeking, in whatever way you want to seek, it has to be a true source of truth, like an actual, in your own way. If it's to you, if it's trees, if it's nature, and that's where you find the truth of the world in your life and spiritual things, then yeah. If it's God, then yeah. But I found a big difference when I just focused on the truth.
I love what you said, man. It has to be objectively something pure.
Yeah, more or less.
It can't
in
be,
my head, that's how I see it.
Yeah, it's got it okay, so what is pure? Well, nature is very pure.
Mm-hmm.
The way that I look at it is like Mother Earth and like Father Sky. Those are great, great places to start. You choose one of those that feels cozy to you, and you start all the things that we talked about.
For me, it's God. And I love nature too, but for me, it's God. That's the source for me. And I had to first establish whether or not I believed that truth came from God. And that was like its own journey of my belief in a God or in that source of truth. And then using that to its fullest extent. Like, yeah, now I know I've developed my understanding around why God is the giver of truth, the source of all light and truth and information and inspiration and all of that stuff. Once I've really solidified that for myself, then I can ask anything. Then I can do and then check in about anything. Then, any dilemma, any problem, any situation, I can ask the source. For me, I don't know. For me, it just wasn't coming that way before I knew for myself that it was the truth. Like I had to know that for some reason in my head. I like needed that to be part of my conviction first before actively using that to find hope.
Well, dude, I think that's super relatable.
Right.
I think that is a must.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say for everyone, but for most people, it's like, wait, who am I talking to?
Yeah.
What is the nature of this person? If it's God or a mountain, like we have to try to find some background or context to like, who are they, or who is, like, what is this?
Yeah.
So that we can put our trust in that what we're getting back from them is actually like good.
Because what happens when you don't know the nature of the person that you are, or the thing, or nature, or if you don't know the nature of that thing, the context,
So we're not going to accept gifts from a giver that we don't know.
You won't even recognize.
We won't even open up the gift.
No.
Like, someone just randomly dropped off this like dark, this black and white present. Could be a bomb.
Could be really ominous. Yeah.
It could be a delicious cookie. I'm not going to open it though.
Right.
And so I think that's, yeah.
It's always taking a chance if you don't know who you're getting it from, who that person is, or, you know. I just think about this one buddy that I had who, it just sticks with me all the time, that he would always say, I believe in God and I know God loves me. And I was like, that's really good. But how do you know? And he wouldn't ever want to get into the conversation. I just know. And I was like, okay, that's great. If you know, then you know. And I respect that. And there was this one moment where they lost their wallet. Small thing, right? And they immediately were like, why would you do this to me? I don't deserve this, God. Like, why would you make me lose my wallet instead of someone else? And in my heart, I was like, do you know who he is? If you're asking that kind of a question, do you know who your God is? You must not know, or you wouldn't be saying what you're saying. Because that's not how it works. You know, obviously that's not how those things work. And it's not why me over somebody else, or I don't deserve this. You don't, if you know the nature of God, you should know that you should be humble enough to know that you don't get to call anything like that. But it just showed me that like he would have a much more of a beneficial experience with prayer and with belief and things if he tried to study out who he was even praying to, or who he was even trying to trust. It just seemed hollow to me.
So let me ask you this question, because you've kind of gone through this journey of doing this. So from your experience, like, let's say somebody wants to know more of like the nature of like who the earth is, or who the trees are, or who God is. They want to start directing their questions towards these sources. How can they start to know the true nature of these sources that are greater than us? It's like, I want to know who God is.
Right. Where do I start?
I want to know if I can rely on nature to give me answers, or Mother Earth, whatever.
I don't know if my way is very normal. I don't know. Because for me, I'm really philosophical, I feel like, about it, where I try and find typographs and archetypes of what I've read in the world, and in what I've seen in nature, and in what I see in people, and the different cultures I've experienced and things, and piecing all of that together and finding the similarities of universal truths that you see all over everything, everywhere, all the time. And you put that and compare that side by side with what you're trying to learn about, or you're trying to gain a relationship with, and see if they match up, and see what amazing things that you'll find by doing that. Like how intricate the world is when you realize if you believe in God, like when you realize how many of his lessons are in everything, in all different types of things everywhere.
Sure.
And it really stuck out to me as I was studying on my own the texts and things, praying on my own about those things and then asking for eyes to see all of those truths wherever I go, that really helped me, like, over my life. That's just how I see things, I think, different.
I think what you're saying though is pretty universal. What stuck out is like study. You have to start looking into.
Yeah.
You have to start studying. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. A good student, when they have a question, what is the nature of God or what is the nature of the earth? They go and seek information. And from my personal experience, it's like doing that combined with a kind of like a what do I want this person to be like? What do I want? Like, let's say for example, it's God. I want God to be real. I want to believe that he's full of love and that he's very wise and that he knows, that he's all knowing. I want to know those things. I want to believe that's who he is. Then it's like, cool. Like you said, then start putting that to the test. Like, then start directing your questions. One of the things psychologically and spiritually that is really the crux of finding hope and developing spiritually, you have to believe that positive emotions really are an indicator of truth, or that something is right for you. That if I pray and ask God, is he real or is he there? And then I feel this peace afterwards, that actually is an answer. If you're not open to that positive emotions actually mean that, you're going to get nowhere. If you don't believe that, try believing that and just be willing to believe that and start to see what happens. I promise you that we can't manufacture these.
Yeah.
I promise that they're in line with every other emotion. Every emotion is our body or spirit trying to tell us something that we need or confirm something to us.
What happens if someone is potentially receiving those positive things, but they don't believe they are? Does it just go right over their head?
Well, like your experience, sometimes they can be subtle, and it's a decision to go all in on positive emotions, basically. I mean, what do you have to lose? I guess you could be I guess the worst case scenario, you could be disappointed. You could be, I don't know.
Maybe disappointed is one of the only, like, it's one of the only things, right?
Yeah. It's like you have so much. What if these actually, I know for me, it's just one of those things you can go off of what other people say. You have to start experiencing it though for yourself.
Yeah.
Most people, if they really think about their life, and if we were to ask them like, hey, think of a time where you were really worried about something and really upset about something, and you just felt like a peace, or you felt the calmness, like, and it helped you. Like, what is that? My belief, from what I have seen from hundreds and hundreds of people, is that nature or God has given every single person at some points in their life, has given them these gifts of feeling peace or feeling love or feeling good, just objective, positive, so that they can start to, if they remember or they really think about it, they can recognize like, oh, this means that something was good for me. Anyone can get in touch with that if they want to, I believe. But if you really can't think of anything and you're trying super hard, then you have to start creating some more moments like that for yourself.
Get active about it.
I love what you said a couple sessions ago, man. It's like, how did you get out of this? Dude, I remember you were like, I don't know if depressed is the right word. You were kind of depressed though. And you like couldn't get out of bed.
Yeah.
And you're like, just started moving.
3, 2, 1.
I just started moving, and And dude, wow. Like, how long ago was that? 4 years ago?
Yeah. Almost 5 now, I think. Or no, 4. A little over 4.
Your life has completely changed. And now is the time to give you this trophy that we have for you today.
Pin the medal. It's so cool that we're talking about all this. I'm so surprised how we naturally come to these conversations in the podcast, and how often I'm already talking about this exact same thing through the week. Because me and Ashlyn have a lot of deep conversations, and this is one of the biggest ones. A reoccurring conversation on how to find hope, how to keep refinding hope, how to recognize when you've lost hope, how to change the feeling, and some of the biggest, these words are like key words that are becoming mantras, is like hope is one of them, looking for hope, truth, and looking for the truth so you can have that hope. A little bit of faith goes a long way, a little bit of belief that it can happen to get things going, and pure, unrelenting action. Just get up and do something. Count from 3 and go at 0. And if you're finding yourself pacing the room, then at least you're moving somewhere. Then find something else, and just seeing the building blocks of that in my relationship with her and individually with myself, and seeing it in her life. It's just, these things really matter. They really, really matter, and they're really true. This stuff actually works.
Okay, so I heard this story. So this is a story from the Bible. So again, if you believe it's literal, cool. If you want to view it more as a symbol, cool. So there's this woman that lives in this town in the mountains, and her and everyone in this town, it's a very poor city. And this woman's husband dies. And back in that day, if you're a woman and your husband dies, it was very common for people to believe that it's because God was punishing you in some way. And also during that time, because she's very poor, if you don't have a husband, then the financial responsibility of taking care of you goes to your son, your firstborn son. And then her firstborn son dies. This man, Jesus, took the grueling uphill journey, likely traveling through the night, to intercept the funeral procession at just the right moment. As the lifeless body of her son was carried out, Jesus was there. Seeing the woman's tear-streaked face, he walked up to her, filled with compassion, and he said, "Weep not." He then proceeded towards the dead son and said, "Young man, I say unto you, arise." To the astonishment of all, the dead man sat up and spoke. Jesus restored him to his mother, transforming her despair into overwhelming joy. The crowd glorified God, declaring, "A great prophet has risen up among us." I just love this story because this woman was completely hopeless. It wasn't just that her son died. She was at the end of her financial rope, and about to face all this social judgment of God definitely must be punishing her. And she sought some hope. And this was the result. Her son was raised from the dead. So it's a dramatic story, but it just is such a beautiful story, I think, that talks about this scripture in the Bible that says, kind of sums up what we're talking about. "Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him." Such a cool promise. Hope is on the other side of the door. And if we're willing to hear and open the door, then it will happen. So just a cool.
What a beautiful story, though.
It's one of my favorite ones.
I didn't know any of that about the distance and the time of night or the time of day that he arrived. That's really interesting.
I didn't really do the story justice because this woman didn't even have, like, people didn't even call her by her name. She was that insignificant. They called her the widow of Nain. That's what she was called, and that's what she's called in the Bible. She's this insignificant woman in this insignificant small town in the mountain where everyone's poor, and arguably, based on what you believe, the most important and influential person walked 10 hours through the night just for her.
Like, what a lesson for everyone. That, like, no matter how remote or how difficult the journey or how small you think you are, that's what you'll get, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I don't know. Christ had a really good way of, like, not just telling this, like, not just doing a deed, but doing an extreme of the deed to show that anyone in any situation, any kind of background can still have that same thing.
And has worth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally. So cool.
That's awesome.
I more just wanted to share it because I just came across it and I thought it was cool. But switching gears a little bit, the other thing that I talk to my wife about sometimes that comes up from work that we've talked a lot about on the podcast is shame.
Mm-hmm.
And this feeling, like we've talked about, this feeling like I'm not enough, or there's something wrong with me, or I'm just not worth it, or this doesn't apply to me. It's this deep feeling, a heavy weight. And I want to just kind of ask you a couple questions. Like, I know that this is something, like, what has been one of the most helpful things for you to, like, overcome shame? Because this runs deep in Japanese culture and a lot of Eastern, but it runs deep in every culture, to be honest.
That it's so shame, right? What I've done or what I'm doing is not in line with who I am.
That's going to be guilt.
So this is my identity.
So that's a good question. So guilt is I did something bad.
Mm-hmm.
Shame is I'm a bad person
for these
because of what I did.
Yeah.
I forgot to put the turkey in on Thanksgiving, and I ruined Thanksgiving for everybody. Like, I'm such a bad host.
Mm-hmm.
Shame.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so shame is a belief, a negative belief about ourselves that we hold on to, that I'm deeply flawed, that I'm not good enough. It's basically like a not enoughness. Is probably a feeling of, like, not enoughness is maybe one of the best ways to say it. What has helped you to overcome that to some degree?
I feel like there's a few things that have helped me. Like, I've been able to prove to myself certain things, like by action I can prove, but that's not always the best, most solid way. And so I guess, like, I look for sources that I trust to give me that. In, like, sometimes I can't see correctly. And so I'll ask someone that I know sees better than me what they see. And then I try and understand how and why they see me that way, or that specific thing about me. And I do that with God. I do that with people like my mentors or people that I look up to, my friends, people that I know love me. Because sometimes that's like, you can't see it because you don't love yourself that way.
In that moment.
Right?
From a situation.
Yeah. And so sometimes you need that other person's better version of love for you that in that moment to show you what you're missing in as far as what you're seeing and stuff.
That's probably one of the quickest ways to overcome it is if you have like this community, the people that love you and that are seeing you for who you are, like running something past them, that helps a ton. The sad thing is most people that struggle with shame, when we feel shame, when I feel like I'm not enough and I've blown it, shame leads to isolation. So when we start to feel shame more in our life, we start to isolate more from other people, which means we don't usually have a community or have these awesome people that can like tell us the truth.
Yeah.
And I see this a lot at my job. And you basically, the other thing you said was really powerful too. We should talk a little bit more about how can someone individually start to work through this and overcome this when they don't have a good friend to talk to. To simplify it without getting into some intellectual breakdown of all these steps, which there can be many steps, is basically the goal with shame is like, how can I feel okay about myself, even though I made this mistake, or even though I didn't meet this expectation? So, what's interesting about the story, the Adam and Eve story, the origin of man, according to the Bible, again, symbolism if you want to view it that, or actual if you want to view it that, is the very first thing that happened, the very first emotion, the very first negative emotion felt by man was shame. In the story of Adam and Eve partook of the fruit and Adam partook of the fruit. And they said, I hear God, he is coming. And then the serpent says, quick, you need to make aprons. You are naked. God will see your nakedness. Quick, hide. So he convinces them that there is something wrong with them or that they're not worthy before, in this case, God, right? I'm unworthy in some way, or I'm not good enough, or there's something, shame. So this is, runs deep in our, culture, genetics, whatever. So that's just more interesting, I think. So how, if when I don't meet an expectation, I feel like I blew it or I made a mistake, how can I feel okay about myself? Well, you have to get in touch with the truth. Well, what is the truth? Well, the truth is it okay? When is it okay to make a mistake? When is it okay? Is it okay to make a mistake?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, let me ask you the question different. When is it not okay to make a mistake?
There's no time where you can't make a mistake.
So anytime we make a mistake, it's okay. Wow, you've really become a compassionate human. When is it not okay to make a mistake? My thought on that is it's not okay when I don't care about something and I'm making no effort to try to do better. That's when that's when it's not okay. Like if I hurt you, my good friend, and I just don't care and I don't try to learn from this at all, it's not okay. We start heading down a dark path when that happens. So the good news is anytime we don't meet an expectation or anytime we make a mistake, it is okay if I care about it and I want to do better and I put some effort in. This is the universal truth that permeates all living things. We can call it forgiveness if you want to. It's just like, it's the good news. It is the truth. And so starting to give that a shot, I really care about this and I'm really, it's okay because I care about it and I'm going to try to do better. It really is okay. See what happens when you start to go more towards that direction listener rather than, because shame leads to isolation, and genuinely feeling like it's okay leads to freedom and self-improvement. So that is the path to start to get out of this hole, basically. So
I really think that is universal truth, though.
of course it is.
Yeah, 100%.
And we can say that because we have personally experienced it. Someone that might be hearing it that hasn't experienced it is be like, that just sounds dumb. It can't be that simple. And the truth is, it isn't. You have to try to feel that. You have to want to feel it and want to believe it's true. And you can start to feel the truth of it, which is cool.
We don't even really understand why if you were driving in a car and somebody's like switching lanes and like about to hit you, the difference of you getting really upset potentially is if they like recorrect and then you drive up and they're like, I'm so sorry. Oh man. You're like, okay, he's just dumb. He's trying to he didn't mean to do that. And he knows he didn't mean to do that. But if it's a guy who just like flips you off after that and then drives away, you're like, okay, that's really mean. Like, I don't think that guy's nice. And it's like a universal truth of like,
that's when it's not okay.
Yeah. When it's not okay.
Clearly he doesn't.
That's not okay. When you see it all around you.
Totally.
It's just interesting.
Okay, so what we've done today is we've moved the cameras around to incorporate Dane more. This is the first time seeing Dane in the video footage.
Isn't it a beautiful thing?
This is a beautiful moment.
And Dane had some awesome questions last time. Dane, we're going to basically start doing some therapy on the tech guy.
Super down. I really...
Go ahead.
I mean, I have a lot of questions about the conversation just that you're having. It was really interesting to me. The one about like detaching yourself from mistakes when you care. I think that's what's sometimes the difficult part of it is you care so much that it goes overboard into, because you identify as somebody, or other people weigh in on that identification as well. Yeah. And that's even harder, because I've dealt with that in my life for sure.
Where you fall short, or you fall short,
and it's like, oh, he's just this. You know what I mean? Like that's the most
judgment.
Yeah. It's and labels, you know, and you develop these beliefs over time based on these events.
I'm not a good husband, or I'm lazy, or
regardless
whatever.
Of what the truth is.
Yep.
Because of what other people, maybe it's outside factors, you know, maybe there's some truth to it. Oh, maybe he's always late or whatever. Not saying that that's like my thing or whatever, but just you put chips into these different like identities through your actions, one, and then through other people's like perceptions of you.
That's really insightful. How much do you feel like you have struggled with that in your own life?
I'll be super candid since we're doing this, right?
We're doing it.
This is the therapy session. Like I was really spacey growing up, and I still like naturally, I'm sure people can agree with that
you're a little spacey, and I love it. But it's not who you are.
But that identity is painful.
It can't. I can imagine.
No, that's the reality. Is that that's like oh because I start interpreting that as like, oh, I'm slow, or
I'm unreliable.
I'm not trustworthy. Those types of things. I've overcome that a lot. Like I'm not nearly like where I was. Like I went through these like limiting beliefs. I was telling you about them. I wrote like 50 of them down. Yeah. Some crazy, and that was hard, but really therapeutic, very helpful. You know,
good for you, man.
Wasn't necessarily a magic wand, but it was like, okay, I'm starting to face these things and try to look at them from from like a perspective of like truth.
It's a big
Yeah.
step to face them all
Yeah.
on a paper,
Yeah, totally.
take that time. That's
So let's give us a full scope of your entire life.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a couple questions. What has okay, so this has nothing to do with me and nothing to do with Ernest, but I believe that in this space, in this room, there's a sacredness in this room. There's a lot of people, again, it has nothing to do with me. There's a lot of people that have come in here in this room that we're in that have been very hopeless, a lot of shame, and a lot of healing, and a lot of cool things have happened in this room. So anyways, my point in saying that is that I believe that in this room, if you voice a couple things that you really would like to see change in your life or get better in your life, I believe it's going to happen, and it's going to unfold on this podcast if you want it to, if you're cool with that.
If I'm open to it.
If you're open to it.
Yeah,
And
totally.
Okay.
100%.
So the first question is, what is the top one or two things in your life that you would really like to see change or get better?
Oh man, that's such a good question.
And let me say this, don't put any limitations on it. If it's something that's been there your whole life, if it's something that, like you mentioned, the spacey thing, anything that seems like this is a part of who I am, or this is how things have always been. I want you to try to just anything that you want to change. I want you to try to be open to that it's possible. So what's one or two big things that not big things, but just things that you really want to see change for you in your life?
Well, one is that, for sure, like the reliability, trustworthy, I'm sure people trust me. I mean, my wife trusts me with her life. That's why she decided to marry me. Certain people. Anyway, that's like a limiting belief, that I'm not trustworthy. Maybe you've missed one too many meetings in the past. There's just been events over the course of my whole life that are just
reinforced that.
this reinforced that belief.
Okay, so that's one good one. So that kind of goes along with you were talking about being spacey and unreliable. That kind of maybe you could package that in one. So what's hard about that is, and I say this with love and as one of your good friends, is you are a little spacey.
No,
so we're not trying to say that isn't true, but there's going to be a reason.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, can I also say that?
Yeah.
I've grown an incredible amount with accepting who I am, and not that I don't have a desire to change, right? It's if you don't have an arm, if you're missing an arm, you're going to adapt your life around that, right? You're going to create is the camera on me?
Yeah.
You're going to create you're going to create an environment around that. And so I've done that. Every time I leave somewhere, I pat down myself 80 times
to remember.
And I'm okay with that. And so, but it's I have to be careful and not feel the shame.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But I like the conversation about the security that women feel around confident men or confident in themselves and
more secure. Yeah.
More secure, either socially or spiritually, or just your self-worth. I've come a crazy long way, and I'm super proud of the work I've done so far. And I think I've done some therapy, even though it's not I've never done therapy officially with a therapist, but I believe I've had many therapy sessions that were life-changing for sure, that weren't official sitting down in front of a professional licensed therapist type thing, or at least have had enough conversations with people that have gone through therapy to be self-aware of the potential damage you can do to yourself if you're not careful.
So this spaciness, this unreliability, this whatever we want to call it, you would like this to change.
I would like that perception of me to go away entirely.
Okay, so let me say this. Not only the perception of that has almost kind of gone away. Like I am as your good friend. That is something that can actually totally change.
Yeah, no, I believe that.
Totally change.
Yeah, I believe
cool.
that.
So that's going to be cool to get to the root of that and kind of bring that to light,
right? And
have there be a path. Like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Well, it's the idea of hope, right? It's like, is it worth? Like, we shouldn't have the conversation. It's like, why continue the conversation if he doesn't even believe it? And I do believe that. Okay,
what's anything else, man, that comes? So that's a really good one. What's something else that you would really like to see?
Honestly, that I'm capable of like succeeding. Like, it's this belief that I'm not. I chose a really, really difficult industry to break into. Like
music.
Yeah, like one of the hardest and arguably one of the hardest industries to break into. And I'm doing it and I'm providing and it's great. But I have all these friends that are super successful, like really, and that can be hard. It's just comparing yourself, it's this idea of I should be further along than I am financially, that kind of stuff. So that's hard on a man's confidence,
For sure.
You know what I mean? But let me be clear. I've been really good though about that has taken a pretty far backseat.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that the core of it is like a belief that like I can be successful, right? Like,
cool.
in whatever it is I do. Even if I decided to switch and do sales again, which like naturally is not a sales person, but I've done that. Like you and I met doing Apex Alarm.
Yeah.
Corey and I met on the sales floor. And I did it out of necessity. And I'll always do things out of necessity, but it's not like natural. Like you are, I've surrounded myself like with close friends who are very, very good and very persuasive. And I don't have that like natural persuasive like bone in my body.
Yeah.
And there's a level of confidence that comes with that helps you to go and just get it done, and it provides a drive and maybe there's a bit of a competition. I know I'm kind of going all over the place. Like I'm not naturally competitive unless it's like, hey, produce the track better than this guy.
Yeah.
In which I'll do that and I'll anyway.
I don't want to discount anything that you're saying, but maybe we can even maybe lump this in one bigger thing is like, I just want to feel more confident as a human being. I just want to feel like I want to be more successful. I want to feel like some of these deeper flaws I have that though they're getting better or whatever. I just generally just want to feel more confident in who I am.
Yeah, that's a perfect assessment, I think.
Okay.
That's a fair assessment.
Okay.
I could be wrong. There could be stuff that's hiding that's deeper. But on the surface so far, that's what I'll go with.
Let's talk about this for a second. We can start introducing some of this as we talk more. So what's powerful about self-worth is one of the things I can tell you've made progress with is how you think about yourself.
Right.
And how you view yourself.
Yeah.
And that's really great. That's, I don't know, 50% of it. The other 50% of it is what's not seen, which is if there's patterns in my life, if there's flaws or patterns in my life that have seemed to always been there, they're almost always connected to some emotional, deeper roots that, you talk about like this drive or success or the being a little spacey or unreliable or whatever. These are going to be connected to something deeper, more specifically, some things emotionally that we're going to bring to light that are going to make sense, that if you let go of, the only thing you'll have to do is just the mental thing. And you've already gotten so good at that.
Right.
So it's like unlocking you and who you really are, and not how you've acted or not how you've been, but who you really are.
The acting is something I've learned to do really well. Like, and I don't know if this comes as a part of just being like an artiste, like a musician, someone who's like,
someone's really an artiste when they don't say artist, they say artistes. Sorry, go ahead.
I actually got that from my mission president. He called me an artiste on my mission. Isn't that funny? Anyway. Yeah, I feel like a lot of my life has been like just trying to, a lot of it is socially, just feeling like out of place. Like, but it's a learned skill, like socially, it's a learned skill to be able to like go into a room, interact with people, introduce myself, look them in the eye. You know what I mean? Like but it's not natural. Like I'm very naturally like aloof. You know what I mean? And I'm like okay with that.
Well, you've become okay with it. Yeah. Which is impressive.
Which has served me quite well as a father. Because I can just hang with my family, not party, not do anything. I'm like totally fine with that. In fact, I'm happiest in that. Just like space. I have my people and that's all I need. I don't need to go out and be with people. I don't need to like, I love hanging with Corey and I love when he invites me out to the park. But how many times do I initiate that? Like Corey is like an initiator, but like I am anyway, but I actually want to be more of an, I think that's another thing too. Sorry. I'm all over the place right now.
No, that's good, man.
I want to be a self-starter because that goes into different aspects of your life. And the people that are really successful are self-starters. And so I know as trivial as it might sound to like invite someone out to the park and have it be your idea and you plan it and you bring the stuff and like make it enjoyable for people. I think it's a really important, I think it's an important trait for people that want to maybe just achieve more. I don't know.
Yeah. So you're talking about like, that goes right in line with you wanting to be more successful and whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
But so it's interesting because to be a self-starter, it requires confidence and it requires focus.
Totally. Focus, dude. I could talk about focus for hours.
So I think those are the two big things, focus and confidence.
Yeah.
We should start diving a little bit deeper into the world of Dane and why have I struggled with those things? Those are not who you are. It's just characteristics that have developed because stay tuned. We're gonna find out exactly why.
If you have benefited from this podcast in any way, it would mean the world to us to have you subscribe to allow us to keep it going and bring on inspirational human beings.